Give this beast a solid smashing and see what we got there. We got some nice echo going on, which is my favorite. I'm going to turn that off. And let's, where do we go to over here? Well, I got a bunch of stuff all over the gizmo going on here. No cam. No, we want to go to, let's start off with the old right monitor for starters. I don't know why my stuff is missing all of a sudden. There it is right there. We got echo, we got like reverberation going on over there. All right. We're off to an amazing start. A stellar start. There's my voice meter potato just to make sure that I don't get any weird noises coming through the tabletop here. Let's turn that off. Very, very confusing, very convoluted. All right, Tabletop Simulator got a new update this weekend. 12.3, attached tools, server browser, search improvements, and much more. Kind of a bit of a fart ski on this one. Not really overly happy with certain things. With two things that I think would be cool if they would fix it so that it would save. I hit the frickin'. So we got an attach tool here. This is one of the great things about this. I got to create multiplayer and create a frickin' server over here so I don't have to listen to that thing in the background. I got the Tabletop Simulator noise blasting in my earphones, but nobody can hear it. So this attach tool thing is actually a pretty cool deal. What it's going to do is it says this is a new tool for combining objects into a single object. This attach is in a parent-child relationship where one object is the owner of the other. You want to add modular pieces to your figures. This is the perfect tool. You might be thinking this sounds like the old joint, but this one lets you merge objects, and here's the best part, even put them in and out of bags. It saves. Let me show you with that. This will cover the attach tool. So we're going to shoot over to the old main table and crack out me beautiful work table. Let's load this beast up, and I will show you what happens on a thing. Oh, she's a thing of beauty over here. All right, so if we go to objects and saved objects, and let's say I want to bust out my Want Some Beats ICRPG. Boom, boom. Here's my Want Some Beats ICRPG miniature. Right, pretty straightforward. He's just a two-sided miniature with the same figure on both sides. Actually, it's not even probably a very good idea. But if I want to go to save objects, and because I have light spheres, let's take the, oh man, let's go crazy and go with a red sphere. Plunk. We're going to drop that right down there. Now, the red sphere is very hard to see. But let's say I want to give my hammer some kind of cool-looking bit of a red glow. F8 or even my mini. The easiest thing to do with this is just to zero out the rotation. If you just go 0, 0, 0 through the entire rotation. And then when you click back on it, we now have this guy with the ability to move any direction that he wants to go. So we'll lock this guy in place. We're going to move this guy a little bit closer. And then the other thing that we want to do too, F8, is, I've moved the light source inside of this thing. So let's move this back. I kind of screwed that up there. Light source. Light source is right there. Right click, toggles, take off the tooltip, and it'll get rid of that so that you don't see it all the time, the red light spheres. But the main thing with this is to resize it. The light source won't actually change, just the size of the ball. So if you go 0.25 all the way across the board, you're going to get this tiny, tiny little ball. So it makes it very, very hard to detect, which is kind of what you want when you want to position it. So we're going to scooch up here. We're going to say that we have like a glowing kind of a glowing hammer. So I'm going to put that something like that. Now, normally what you would do is you would go over to combine and you would hit the fixed joint. This is the old joint. It has been replaced. So you would click on this. This is what we used to have to do. And then you would have to find the sphere and connect the sphere to the base. All right, so we shouldn't be able to pick this up, but if we unlock this, it's still stuck in position. The reason it's stuck in position is because we still have to find the light sphere, which is right there, and we have to unlock it. Now that both items are unlocked, the light source will move freely around the table. All right, so we're going to take these two items, we're going to right click, and we're going to call them, let's just call them want some tests. We're going to save these objects in the root folder, save. C, Control V, we can create, move, do all sorts of stuff, right? Objects, saved objects. We're going to go want some over here. Here's my want some tests. I could pull it out of my saved, scratch in my eye there. I can pull it out of my saved objects, and everything's hunky-dory. You can actually see the light source moving around in each one of these objects. Everything's cool. However, we don't want that. We're going to close this down. If you go to Objects, Components, and Tools, and crack out a bag, and then take said item and drop it in said bag, when you go to pull out said item, you pull out the light source, and you pull out the mini. Very crappy. Hot garbage leads to huge pains in the butts. What happens when I'm playing on my, if I go to, let's go to games, and I go to my Sunday Adventurers League table, and I load my table up. I should probably change my color to black so that I'm the game master. And there we go. Okay. Let's darken this table a little bit. We're going to hit the, let's make it nat time. Nat time. Here we go. All right, here's Thazit. Good old Mr. Thazit. I can right click on him. I can unlock him. This is a very cool example of the light source mini because the light source is actually just in front of this mini. And this is one that I've used with the attach. Now, here's I made a couple spares too. So the old problem is when you're using Tabletop Simulator and you're using One World, anytime you pack a table, you're actually putting things in a bag. So the joints would never save. Now with the new attach tool, you can actually attach stuff and they will save. Let's clear this. Click. And we're going to go to see all. And let's bust out. I should go to D for DDX. The table that we were playing on last is this one, the Catacombs. Build this. Because I don't know if, oh, so we got some general chaos errors going on in there that I will fix at a later date. See these lanterns on the walls here? These lanterns have fixed light sources as well. I'm going to right click on that, hit my F8, and I'm going to move this up into the sky, and you'll see the light source stays without the lantern. So I've changed that because what you can do now is not only will, where's Mr. Thaz? Let's move him into the dungeon. Put him over by the creepy wall vines. Right, Mr. Thazit goes there. He's staring at the walls. We go back to pack the table. And as soon as it finishes doing what it's doing, we will go back and we will hit build. You have no idea how much grief this caused me before. But now it is all fixed. Mr. Thazit stays locked up in the bags. The ball stays with him. So normally after a repack in a build like that, his light source would fall on the ground. I'll give you an idea of some cool stuff that I've done with this. The new green lantern. There we go. Bada bing. Right click on green lantern. It's being a bit of a pain in the butt. Stuck so high up in the air. Why is that doing that? This is fantastic. I love it when things sort of fall apart. Oh, there we go. So weird. Anyways, this is another combined item. For some reason, this one is doing something a little bit sort of weird and different. I don't know why it's highlighting just the ball on the bottom, but it is, which is really weird. But they are combined, and you can do things like attach them to the wall. Lock that in place, and then you can stick it on there, right? So with this one, this light source over here gives you this weird deal where lantern moves, light source stays. There's the ball there, the light source ball. But now you can attach them, you can combine them together into a single one, and you can get this sort of weirdness where everything moves. So the light source and the lantern sort of move together. So that's kind of neat. Plus you can do cool things like now give your characters the look like they're blasting stuff up or glowing when they're casting their spells. That's the new attach tool, much better than the old one. We're going to go back to the work table because we're going to move on to another piece. So let's bust over to the right monitor. Combine tools. So we got some new tools. The attach tool I've just showed you. Fixed joint is the old joint tool. That works just like the old one. You can't save it. But you got these new ones. You got hinge and spring joint tools. We're going to go back to the table and I'm going to show you how these work. They're cool. At the same time, they're not cool because they don't frickin' save, which is just lame beyond recognition. Like, you know, Tabletop Simulator, you knew that fixed joint was an issue. Well, all right, so that you created attach instead, I guess. You know, maybe they're like, okay, this is the way it's supposed to work, or they intended it to work. But I'm hoping that they come out with 2 sets. Give me a hinge joint and a spring joint that I can save, so that I don't have to redo my dungeons. I tried to do Mordred dungeon today and do some stuff, but this was the best kind of example I can show you of the springs and the hinges. I'll load up the spillway. All right, so this is something that I was working on. It's basically like a sewer spillway kind of a thing. You come in through the stairs on this end, you end up in the bottom chasing this guy out of the basement or underneath the city, and this end here would just basically, he would jump out into the river and, you know, he's often fleeing, so to speak. Saved objects, we're going to bust out a door. So I got this cool ass wooden door. My family is now home, so hopefully they don't come downstairs and make a bunch of mess or a bunch of noise. And here's me door. So we're going to make this thing a little bit bigger so that it actually looks like about yay big. Thanks for falling over, you piece of junk. Really appreciate that. Okay, so swing. There. F8 3 or 4 times. Gets you to this cool little feature that's going to allow me to make this door into like a gigantic kind of a sort of like a gate kind of a thing, like a massive gate. So I'm going to set this thing back here. We're going to lock it in place, hit F8. We're going to change this 1.95 to 2. I want it to be up off the ground a little bit so that it doesn't drag on the ground. Now, I also want to move it back a little bit so that it is sort of something like that. More covers the deal. And then what we're going to do is we're going to do this hinge joint. So we choose the door. We choose an item that's around it. And we've successfully created a hinge. There's my international student slamming his door shut. So we're going to go to joint. We're going to change this x-axis. We're going to put this to a y-axis of 1. Apply and save changes. Now we got this cool door. This door is locked in position, but I just unlocked it. So can't really interact with it. It's kind of moving a little bit, which is sort of weird. I don't know why, because usually what I find is if you double click your mouse buttons, it'll allow you to like swing the door open. See, now it's getting stuck. So basically, if this was a little higher up, it wouldn't get stuck. I should have made it 2 point something instead of whatever. The fix for that is to go to joint, go to fixed or to hinge, and just shoot this off into space, and that'll get rid of it. Sort of gives it a bit of a reset. Let's drop the door there, lock it in place, F8, and hit 2.1. Still don't like that, 2.2. And scooch it back up to the wall like it was before. Drag it over this way a little bit. Okay, so it's locked in place. Click on this, get the hinge joint to the door, to an item. Right click, go to the joint, take it off the X axis. You gotta put that at 0, and we're gonna put this one at 1, hit apply, save and exit. Now when we unlock the door, it remains motionless, and then if you click on it and then double click on it, you can now open and close it. Like, how cool is that? Now, it'd be awesome if it would save, but it doesn't, because the old way of doing this kind of a thing in-game would be to hit F8 and go to rotate, and then click on this, and then rotate it. The problem is it rotates it on a center axis. So, not really the coolest thing in the world to do. That is much better. That is actually very freaking cool. If we right-click and hit joint, turn this one to 0 and change the Z-axis to 1, hit apply. Now what happens when you grab your door? Oops, my door is locked. Now the door goes up and over. Like, now you've got some Hassan Chop going on there. Huh? Come on, players. Try and make it through here while this door's going to come down and split you in two. That's freaking sweet. Right-click, joint. Change this one to 0 and X-axis to 1. And last but not least, you have a cool feature where you have like a drawbridge. As soon as I let go of the double-clicking mouse, it sort of shoots back up. So what I would do is double-click it and hit L. Some sweet, cool drawbridge action. Problem with this is, all as cool as it is, who cares, because the stupid thing doesn't frickin' save. So, saving or packing a base in one world, if I hit pack, is the same thing as putting things into a bag as indicated by the bag in the middle of the table. It's that's how one world works. It stuffs things in bags. Don't ask me, I'm just a dumb truck driver, but that's what I do know. So when we hit the build button, guess what happens? Our item is back in place. As soon as I click on it, like, we're done. Lame. Not cool. That would be so cool for making doors, hinges, porculus, or no, drawbridges, all that kind of stuff. That would be sweet. All right, so the other one that I want to show you is the other attach tool. We're going to go to, no, we don't want this. Go to components, and let's crack out a marble. Right? Just imagine this is a giant ass boulder. We're going to create this in size. Just drop it right about there. We're going to go to combine, and we're going to go to spring joint. So spring joint connects these two items together, and then when you drag it away, let's say you drag it over here, it just goes flying right back like it's on a spring to where it was before. Now, I don't know if I would get much use out of this. There's going to be some cool mechanical abilities inside some of the Tabletop Simulator mods that they will build, but because I only really use TTS to play role-playing games, I don't know if it'll be too useful for me. That is kind of a neat little thing. Imagine that was a boulder, and yeah, you know, you're like, oh, here comes a boulder, bam, takes out your face. Now, could I take this thing and set it over here and lock it in place? Right click. So this would be cool to set up, because you could do a thing like this. You could just right click on this and hit unlock, and it goes flying across the room. And now you've like flung a sword or some cool thing like that at your players. But once again, guess what happens? We go to pack this piece of crap. Give it a second to do its business. Smash the build button, and we're going to end up with stupid marble that doesn't do anything. So, cool feature, pointless feature, cool feature, your call. I shoot over to the right monitor again, and that sort of combines the combine tools. Server browser stuff. Server browser stuff is just basically what you're looking at when you're trying to find a game at the beginning. They've allowed you to resize the table or the server thing. They've made some improvements. Search texts are a little better. They fixed search across the board, which is kind of neat. They did some stuff with spectator view. And then there's just a bunch of general stuff. So I haven't come across any of these things, but it looks like they just fixed a bunch of like bugs and stuff. Fixed turn indicator, scaling on custom UI. There is a thing in here where it says right here that I don't get yet, which is objects which can go into a hand, like cards, will be drawable by hitting 1 on them, like cards. I don't get it. I tried this, I pulled a card out, and nothing seemed to happen. So obviously I'm, not really getting the gist of it. Components, cards. Let's just pull out random card. All right, so we're gonna make this thing massive. And then I'm clicking on it and pressing 1. Clicking on it and pressing 1. I'm not sure. I'm just doing something wrong. I don't get the gist of it. So text 1. Nope, still nothing. All I did, I think, was draw on the table, right? So not 100% sure what that is, but or what use I would get out of it. Back to the right monitor. So just a bunch of scaling stuff that's been fixed. Alt zoom may now be fixed in place on the screen instead of following the pointer. Split zoom toggle. So that, there's a couple of sweet little fixes. The attach tool is very cool. This is for the rest of this stuff is just basically for people that can program. That I have no idea. And then there's some new game that they put out. And don't forget, Tabletop Simulator is 50% off this weekend. So with that out of the way, I need to go back to me table. Let's go back to my mini text fix. So we got a problem, Houston. We need to go to save objects, and I want to go to ICRPG. Let's crack out my two-sided figure with, yes, here we go. Plunk. So for some reason, and I don't know why, this has, well, I do know why. I don't know why it happened, but this has now ended up on the bottom side. So I fixed it, but for whatever reason, the fix for this is just to right-click on this and go to scripting. Now, the scripting, for whatever reason, on these pieces of garbage will go all wonky, which is probably what's going to happen on mine. All right, so we're going to mouse down. So if you just mouse down to the bottom, you have this set of scripts here. Somehow this here, this minus 0.04, I don't know if the model for Rokems has been changed so that it's thicker, but this 0.04 decides the placement of the text, the height of it. So if we click on this and we hit delete, and delete, let's get rid of all of these so that they go back to 0.04, and we'll hit save and play. When it comes around, oh, piece of crap. Save objects. We got to do that one more time because I forgot a step. Okay. So when you're doing a save and play, you actually have to save it. So we're going to go mini text fix, right click, and we're going to hit overwrite. Now that we've done that, now we can go to scripting because this will be now saved. And then on the scripting editor, we're going to do the same thing. We're going to shoot all the way down to the bottom. And hopefully tabletop simulator will not. Yeah, see, I hate this so much. Okay, so we've got that one, but it's like anytime you make a move on the chessboard, the pieces go all wonky. Drives me crazy. Up and down. We're just taking out the zeros. I screwed that one up. I should have hit backspace. So what I like to do with this, to fix what's going on, because this is just garbage, we're going to hit Control A. We're going to hit Control C to copy it all. And then on right monitor, I am going to bust out. I use Notepad++. So we are going to hit Control A, delete, Control V. So I've pasted that script into a note into this editor, and then we're just going to change all of these. So this should be 0.04. We need to get rid of this, and we need to get rid of this. Now that the negatives are all gone out of that stuff, Control A to select everything, Control C. Back to this, and on this miniature, Control A, delete this text. Control V to paste it all back in. And once it's pasted in, we have the correct, whatchamacallit, we can hit save and play. And that'll reload the table with the minis, and voila, look what just happened. Objects, saved objects. Messed up mini, fixed mini. So now that this mini is fixed, or I've corrected the height on it, you can do things like, you can go, because I'm not going to do it. I'm sorry, but yeah, fucking time consuming that is. Games. What I've done is my ICRPG workshop table. Let me show you why this is a problem. Load this up. As soon as it does its thing. All right, click, click, scooch through to here, and we'll just build the core table. This is going to be super time consuming, and it's almost not worth me doing it, but I will show you the fix because the fix is already on the table. Oh, I didn't save it. I was just screwing around. So what I'll fix this table so that you guys can fix this table. What I want to do is I want to go to my objects, saved objects, and we are going to bust out. Where's Wansome? I'm going to go all the way back to the beginning and crack out my Wansome beats. Was it this guy? He's got it correct, and so does he. Sure why they're a little bit. Oh, this was the red light one. That's why. Okay, so we're getting rid of this guy. We don't need him. Now that we got this guy, this is an easy fix. So you can go Control C, Control V. Actually, let's delete that. What I'm going to do is take the name off of this so that we don't have to do it every time. We have the fixed mini, Control C, Control V, Control V. We are going to right click on the two-sided figure, hit custom. Go to this, Control C, which is copy this image. Go to this mini and paste the image into this mini and then import. And look, I fixed it just like that. Now F8 to make it the same size is, I know it's size 6 because I was just farting around with it. Bada bing, bada boom. I know that didn't take too long, but you want to try doing this for 100 and some odd minis, and I just do not have time today. Right click on Gargolith, custom, copy the image, which is just Control C, right click on this, custom, Control V, import, right click, name, Gargolith, delete, resize. So this needs to be 666. And we'll push this back here. There you go. I'm going to pack this table up, and I'm going to overwrite it so that these will be here, but that's how you fix this. Because all of these other ones back here are on the bottom. All you really need to do is just replace the model with the script that works. There's that's how you done. And if you have things like these, It's the same process. Just go in, find the script where it where the height is set, and you're off to the races. So if we pack this, that saves that miniature on that table, so you can have access to fixing them just like that. But here's the problem. I'm not trying to be a Wang Dingler, but if you go to Warp Shell and we build out Warp Shell, that would require me fixing every one of these minis. And I'm just not into it. Because you're using these minis and stuff like that, just fix the ones you're using. The rest of them don't really matter, right? If they're just sitting in your bag or sitting in your inventory, who cares? You want this guy here to be part of your crew or whatever, just fix him. Right? That's all you got to do. Right click on this guy, custom, Control C, Control, and then this guy, custom, Control V, import. There, he's fixed. Because the scripting is on the model. The scripting is actually not part of this figure. It's part of, right? So there you go. That's my suggestion on how to fix that. That covers that topic. The mini script is fixed. Mordred overwrite. Okay, so there's one other thing that I wanted to get into, which is I got to go back to my work table, load this thing up. I rewrote part of Mordred objects, saved objects. Here's my Mordred prison, which is one of the more popular ones that I did. We'll click on this, lock it in place, grab the Mordred prison, drop her on here, and then I gotta clean this up a little bit. I'm getting too many. Give it a second to build. This is Zovia's map, little prison map that I did a while ago where I cut some stuff out. And so what I've done in this one here is I've set it up so that all of the bugs and stuff are fixed. These little plants would have that Michael and Barry error in it. And then I've put lanterns in that actually are connected. So these little lanterns are the green lanterns that I showed you guys earlier, with the lights and the lantern. So the light, I guess, has become the primary object. So you just unlock that and then they can move around. So yeah, I did that and I fixed a bunch of stuff. And then I'm going to put this back up in the one world table with images because it's fixed. Along with clear, end. Along with, last but not least, Adventurers League table. Two more things on the list. Covered the new update, showed you the mini script, did the Mordred overwrite. Last but not least, I want to show you what I'm going to be putting out today because for some reason, loading complete, I have never released these, but I just recently fixed them. When you go into I keep doing the same bloody thing. I want to click on this and I want to go to see all. This is going to be a touch of parent, a little crash course, crash course. I don't know why I can't say that. Here we go. Deep Sewers Parent. Parenting view and what it does. Here's the difference, or here's parent view in a nutshell for, those of you that have forgotten. Maybe you know what it is, maybe you don't. Anytime you load a map, that map gets displayed on the table, except in this situation. In parent view, it doesn't. So the deep sewers, if you look at this map, sort of like from this perspective, let me zoom in as much as I can. You've got this darkness, this watery looking area, sort of a bland nothing area, and then this big weird kind of circle looking drain here. If you want to run your players through a cool chase through the through the sewers of a place, this is awesome. So what parent view does is it allows me to sort of change through 4 sections on this map. We'll start with high flow, and we're going to hit the build button. I went in and fixed this map. I took out all of the junk, all of the broken bits, the missing scripts. I missed one right there, but I think it gets covered up, which is why I missed it. Yeah, you can only see a little nub of it. So here's the sewers. You start your chase off here. Thanks to workshops, water collection. I should have written this down, but somebody gave me, I think I can go to here and search for water collection. Pope Fan Club. I don't know if he shared this or not. I don't know if I'm ratting the guy out. I sure hope I'm not. But he fixed a bunch of these things, which is fantastic. So now we have water again. I've hidden the little end bit, right? So we've got some sewers splashing out into here. And then that's section 1. Your players are doing a deal. They're chasing some bandit or something like that. Maybe they're chasing a lich, which is what they were doing in my game. Through here, and then each section of the dungeon is going to be a certain phase. So you're starting off in the sewers. They're going to, at the sewer entrance, what are you going to find there? You're going to find some easy little goblins and stuff like that. So I would take my saved objects and I would look up my goblins, my gerblins, and my gooblins. And I'm going to populate my dungeon, Control C, with a bunch of goblins that my players have to get through. Arbitrarily point to a spot on the map. Gentlemen, you need to make it through to this section down here, and I'm starting my players at this end, and they have to get through this little maze, and the whole time they're being attacked by goblins. So that's step 1. The next step, I'm going to throw something else at them, try and make them fend off some ogre jelly or something along those lines. But you see this map here. This little quarter section right here is the section of map that you're looking at on the table. So your players don't need to know, but build the next section. This is just a 4-piece kind of big dungeon that you guys can blast through. Here's another waterfall, but you see that the bottom of the table has these weird white sort of wavy pools, just like this section of the dungeon. So it's a little bit different. It's that piece. Same thing, starting them over here. I'm going to make him attack some bad dudesters. There's a little broken crate that I put in there. And what is this over here? A little pile of skull and bones. Ogre jelly pops out, and yeah, you're off to the races attacking your player. Septic part 2. Now, I didn't actually create these just so that everybody knows. I just fixed them. I fixed them and I converted them into one world, fixed all the links and stuff like that. These little pieces right here, the little grates inside of these things were all messed up, so that required a bunch of work. There was a bunch of dead links and tiny pick sort of weird craziness going on there. And the treatment plant, crack this sucker out. Notice there's no errors, so I'm going to put all 4 of these things on the one world table. And then this one's got a ladder. Maybe this is where they come in, right? So you just got to remember this kind of stuff. Treatment is where they come in and chase their party through the deals. But this one has a little bit of rocks and stuff like that hiding in there. It's very cool, very neat. Go to the last one, this is the finale. This is where they end up chasing the boss man to. Like I said, my players were chasing a lich, and this is the end room where they finally confront the big bad. And you can see that the water thing is a white cube, which is a little, I must have put a different one in there. And then that's it. So there's like 4 maps, 4 different sort of designs of the same underground sewer system that you guys can use. They are called low flow, high flow, the treatment center, and reclaim. So that scratches that off. That's the sewer release that I'm going to be putting out this week. And then the last thing on the list is Paperforge Minis. I love these guys so much. Let's load up this table. And then while that's happening, I am a solid subscriber to Paperforge Minis. The artwork is beautiful. Between them and Printable Heroes, it's really sort of the lines of you know who I now like more is extremely blurred. Just saying. Paperforge Minis has been making these pogs that you can use in your games. Now, if you've seen my video where I'm like, play TTS the easy way, these pogs will be fantastic. Here's like 4 or 5 different goblins. You got, these are all players, so there's some new ones with the Rakasha guy there. Bard, Knights, you got Thieves, here's another Bard, Goliath guy. And then you got some bad dudes. There's some kobolds, a snake, panthers, bears, some animals. Bargula, some kind of dragon dude, some more crazy kobolds, molten ooze, fire elemental. Some of the ones that they've put out. He's allowed me to create tokens for these things and throw them into Tabletop Simulator and release them all. So that is Paperforge Minis. Here he is on Patreon, but man, this guy does some fantastic stuff. Like, look at this, is some beautiful freaking artwork for Goblin Pogs. Now, these would be great if you're playing things like Roll20 or even Fantasy Grounds and you want to use Pogs instead of like top downs. There is an entire master list somewhere of these things. And then there's the regular style ones that I would use. I would use the regular paper minis. Paperforge, freaking fantastic. Between Paperforge and Printable Heroes, I'm getting like 2 or 3 different paper minis a month that I use in game for my stuff. And yeah, it's turned out to be quite sweet. So, scratch off Paperforge Pogs off of my list. And I think that wraps up this video. Everything that I wanted to get at, talk about, do, show you guys. And yeah, that's going to be it. See you next week. Peace out.